And we are back with LosCEO Show. Today we have a very special guest with us, Lizzett Cuervo from Chispa Consulting. My name is Leo. Just to give you a little bit of information what the show is about, we basically speak to entrepreneurs, kind of get to know what it is behind what they actually chose to get into this. And today I have a lot of questions, and we'll get to it in a second with Lizzett. But Judy, ¿cómo estás? Buenos días.
Hola Leo, ¿cómo estás? Muy contenta de tener aquí a Lizzett, coach, que quiero saber mucho de sus servicios porque hoy en día esto ha sido tan nuevo para mi generación, para la generación de nuestros hijos es un poco más claro, pero para mi generación y de verdad quiero conocer más este emprendimiento. Muchas gracias Lizzett por tu tiempo y por estar aquí.
Thank you.
So, Lizzett, let's get into the nitty-gritty of it. Me personally, and I like to start off like this. Me personally, I found out I suffer or have ADHD. There's a lot of telltale signs that as a young person, young teenager, that jumped out at me, but I was never diagnosed with it. Now, as a grown adult, I was finally diagnosed with it. But what is ADHD, if you can kind of like explain it to people, because I think the spectrum is so broad that I think people need to kind of like, get the right information. So first of all, welcome, and then explain ADHD, please.
Hi, thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm very excited. ADHD is a superpower.
Thank you.
It's a superpower. For many years, it was considered a stigma because if you had ADHD or like you had that perception of ADHD-like symptoms, people thought you were just like hyper, not able to control yourself and just like all over the place. However, it basically is just the way that we're wired, the way that we're just kind of like born that way. And it really is how can I say, it really is a superpower. When you love something and you're not bored and you're passionate about it, you can pursue it and be the best at it, right? They say Albert Einstein had ADHD, right? Now, all of a sudden, yeah, geniuses have it. However, you do need executive function skills to be able to organize your thoughts and sustain your attention and focus so that you can get all of that energy and all of that vibrancy and make it count and not just be like a squirrel.
Now, how important is executive function? Because I see that that's one of the things that you guys offer with executive function. How important is that to somebody that, even if they're not diagnosed, just to get through their day or let them, structure something in place? How important is that?
Executive function skills to me has been a game changer. Executive function is everything. So picture this, from the minute that we're born, right? Right here in the front of our heads, we have something called frontal lobes. And within those frontal lobes live the CEO of our body, hence the name executive function skills. And that CEO allows, like much like an air traffic controller does, allows the person to be able to sustain attention, to focus, to manage their time, to plan and prioritize, to just like have that goal-directed persistence and that stress tolerance that we all need, that flexibility that if you miss your flight, like your life isn't in shambles, you're able to like persevere and just keep going. And so as little as when a baby's born and they cry, and we teach them by serving and returning their gaze, that they're going to be safe and that we love them and that it's okay, they can wait a little while. Much like that keeps developing in children, that, they have to also be able to like focus not just on video games, they have to do their homework, right? They have to be like goal-minded and focused and so they can do well in a sport, they can do well in school. Adults in the workplace, they can be organized and really prioritize which task they need to complete and to comply to get the job done correctly.
Okay.
Right? And so you may be really well versed in planning. Maybe you plan really well your job, but then when you get home, your planning skills are not that good. So, right. And so our whole lives are basically, I think, just interrelated and intercorrelated with being able to just get better and better and better at these executive function skills so we can have a better work-life balance. You know, it's just, we have so many things to do and
Yeah.
expected to just understand so many things, and we're just tired. So without the correct focus and the right strategies in place, we can't really be that happy.
Now, with executive function, and especially nowadays with, social media and the way that we've changed the way we gather information, or we, we look at different mediums of videos and things like that. Do you think that having a structure in place allows you to get ahead, allows you to have that edge? Because again, like you were saying in the beginning, the whole ADHD and on the spectrum, that's always seen as a negative, where, hey, you're living in the clouds, or, hey, you're procrastinating all the time. Do you think by having all that executive function and that structure allows you to then move ahead and be better at everything that you do?
Oh my God, absolutely. Before I was a special ed teacher for a really long time, for 15 years. And I worked with all sorts of students. I work with students going into college. I work with students in high school. I work with adults, right, with learning disabilities, and just like people who don't have learning disabilities. And the minute that I put these strategies in place, just like stuff gets done.
Okay.
Anything you can break down a task and really segment it and say, wow, I didn't think about that. Like you may think, I have this game that I play. So it's like, okay, so how long is it going to take you, let's say, to go food shopping? Like, oh, I'm going to just go to, it's right around the corner. I'm going to go to La Bodega and I'm going to get what I need. And I'll be back in half an hour. And then we're going to have dinner at this time. I'm like, I don't think so. You got to remember, do you have a list, or are you just going to try to remember? Do you have your money to pay? Do you have a bag? Now they don't give bags at the supermarket, right?
Do you have a budget?
Right. You get all your stuff, and then when you get home, you got to prep the things. And after you prep, did you put the oven on? Just like everything in life requires you to stop and think. And I just think that as a society, we're just not thoughtful enough. And there's never enough time. We just don't prepare like those minutes of transition to start something, to finish something, and then to stop and think, how can I have done this better? Yeah.
Now, do you see that in your life? And I love the fact that you were a special ed teacher, because especially nowadays, with IEPs and everything that they get together for kids, I think, seeing what not the issue, but seeing what the opportunity is found at an earlier age than before. Do you see that attacking this or working with this or coping with this at a younger age actually helps the person? Or should just we wait like Leo, and when you're 40, you find out you have ADHD?
Listen, I found out, I don't want to say my age, but like
later in life.
Way later in life, you know what I mean? Like way later. And it changed my entire life. And I actually didn't really, I'm ashamed to say that as a special ed teacher, I put all the systems in place, but I really didn't understand that that it was just a thing. When you're born, people say, or like, as you're growing, they say, oh, I have a sister. She's always been the organized one.
Yeah.
Like he's really, really smart, but he's just a little messy. Right. And so if these systems would have been in place, even with my own students, to the exact measure that I know them now, the backpack would not have been a black hole anymore, where papers go in and they don't come out, right? The permission slips would have been signed, right?
I have a drawer like that, so.
Yeah, the parents would have gotten like the invitation to the meeting way before the meeting. Just like so many things, like if your kid has an allergy or he can't go somewhere, or like you don't understand the homework, like all of these scaffolding things would have been put in place to help both the parent and the children. Of course, you got diagnosed in your 40s. You didn't know. So if you have kids that you want to help, you're trying to do everything. You want to get them in the car. You want to get them dressed. You want them to eat. And it gets to a point that moms especially get so frustrated, right? Dads too, but moms in the morning, it's like, get your shoes on. What do you mean you don't know where your socks are? And, you know, mom's just trying to live and have a cup of coffee. And so, yeah, like at any age, as soon as you know, like this is a big deal. And that's why it's called chispa, right? To spark skills, encender la chispa, wake up.
I love the name, by the way. And let the people know where they can find you on social media, because I was perusing through your social media and I found out the meaning of chispa. And kind of like what you're saying now, you know, to kind of like turn on that flame. And I'm gonna, well, first give them your social media so they can find you.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Chispa EFC, like executive function coach. And then I'm also on the computer, on your phone. You can go on my website, Chispa EFC.com.
Yes,
I think that's it. Yes.
Hold on, because I was there.
And it's a really, really good website because you can get like a lot of free things and you can get your own free ebook.
Nice.
And download it, and it's like 40 pages, and you can find out like so much information on executive function, and you can like take a free assessment, and it's like so many things. So excited about this.
So, and it was funny what Judy was saying before, no, because we look at it as, you know, anybody that's diagnosed with anything, it's, you know, el loco de la clase, you know, the crazy one in the class, right? And that's unfair because there's a spectrum, you know what I mean? That you could have mild, you could be medium, you could be, you know, over the edge. But do you think, especially the three of us here from coming from a Spanish background, where, you know, it's kind of hard, it's an uphill battle to explain to people, you know, what this is. You know, I think, you know, we're three brothers. Our youngest brother was actually diagnosed when he was in school. And I think that helped him because, again, my parents just saw it as, you know, he was the troublemaker. So, but how would you attack the stigma on a Spanish household to kind of explain to them, like, hey, this is the future and this is what actually is going to get them to that next level?
Well, that's exactly why Chispa became my passion project, because I was teaching for 15 years. And quite frankly, like, you know, after 15 years, you're a pro in what you do. Love the kids, especially love my teacher friends. Like, I just want to like live there, right? It's really great. But then the parents didn't get it, especially the Spanish parents, right? And so what happens is that, I hate to say it, I'm a Spanish parent, but we think that if they get a chancletazo, right? It's going to solve everything. They think if we put that discipline in place, that's because we didn't blah, 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 right? And then we start talking about how we walk to school in 6 feet of snow.
So uphill, both ways.
Discipline, it's nothing to do with discipline. I used to think that when people had a checklist, like, hey, Joey, clean your room. Here's a checklist. I was like, if I had Joey for a week, I'd take care of Joey and Joey would never have a messy room. That's not true. It's not a matter of discipline. It's a matter of understanding how your child or an adult learns, right? How you break down the process and explain. What does it mean when you tell somebody, clean your room? They don't know what clean is for you. They know what clean is for them. Maybe clean for them is just to like not have clothes on the floor, right? But like with executive function strategies put in place, you talk to the student and you're like, hey, wait a minute. What do you think? What do you like to do, right? Because if you have ADHD, what happens is that you don't get as motivated to do things as other people do. So you need that dopamine, right? How do you get dopamine? Well, listen to some like music. Get music that gets you like in a good mood, right? Do a little bit of workout, feel good. And then you can like be like, hey, that feels good. It sparks like you want to do stuff and you feel happy.
You get the chispa.
You have chispa. Right. So yeah.
I love everything that we're speaking about, and I wish I would have spoken to you about 15 years ago because it would have made my adult life a lot better. I think what you're saying right now, you know, even with the little dopamine that you get, I think in finding that inner feeling to go do things. I think one of the biggest tools that we can use nowadays, and I want to make sure that again, that's why I want people to follow you on social media, is because the way that the algorithm works, if you look for something in ADHD, you're going to get the rest of the information, and you're going to find like-minded people that leave the clothes on the floor because it's not priority at that point. So, and I see the smile because I know you deal with it all the time. So, but so putting structure in place, and I love what you said that discipline is not discipline. Do you think that the way that we need to look at it is discipline against structure? Because I think structure is the key word. Do you think that that's something that we should focus more on?
Look, I think we're just in a hurry all the time. We don't want to miss out on anything. And we don't realize that there's 24 hours in a day.
Uh-huh.
And in that day, you need to sleep. You need to drink water. You need to, I have a personalized checklist.
Okay.
When someone's going to have a meltdown, I ask, did you eat enough protein? Did you drink water? Did you sleep? Right?
Uh-huh.
And have you been on the screens all day? Because that messes up your brain.
Okay.
That makes you even more tired. And then, you have to have balance in your life. If you have that structure and you have that checklist, and it all depends on how you learn, because with executive function, I work with a set of like 11 or 12 different skills.
Okay.
And so I give an executive function assessment, and it's also on my website. You can go on there, you get a free consultation for half hour. You click on, Louis, don't take the test now.
No, I'm looking.
You click on and you just kind of like answer the questions or whatever. And I'm able to see, hey, wait a minute, this person has challenges in flexibility, right? They're super good with time management, but to the point, if you change it for 5 minutes, they have like a heart attack. So that's not good, right? With organization, some people get to the point, they're like, if everything isn't like super clean and put away, like that's not fun in a kid's house. You got to have a little bit of chaos, right? So it's all about balance. If you're able to focus is great. Should you be playing video games for 9 hours? Probably not, unless you're a professional gamer. So,
I mean, you still shouldn't be in front of the TV that long.
Yeah, so by taking an executive function assessment and then finding out what your challenges are, but also finding out what your strengths are, I kind of group people together and just like make them be the hero of their own story. Because if you get diagnosed with ADHD, it's so shameful, right? You feel like, oh my God, like first it's like, oh great, now I realize why I can't finish anything. And then you talk to people and it's hurtful because they say stuff like, oh my God, I feel so ADHD today. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like if you say that to other people about their disability, like ADHD is considered by, different doctors as like the diabetes of the brain. Like what happens if you have diabetes? Should you take care of it?
Yeah.
You should, right? What happens? You can die. The same thing with your brain. If your brain is sick, you have to take care of it. And by putting these structures in place, like some people even think that by taking medicine, oh, I solved it. I take a pill. That's not enough.
Yeah.
Because you can take all the pills in the world, that if you don't have these systems in place, you're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to keep in circles, and you're not going to be able to live the life that God put you here to live.
I think I definitely need to take that assessment, and I think definitely you and I are going to be speaking after this.
Yeah.
Because I love the fact that you explain, the work-life balance. I think, especially with us, being entrepreneurs, we look at that work life as that's the full life. But at the end of the day, there's things that give you that dopamine. Judy, ¿alguna pregunta?
No, iba a decir lo mismo que estás diciendo ahorita, que especialmente para los emprendedores es un reto, y más cuando yo nunca he sido diagnosticada, pero de lo que he visto digo, creo que lo tengo. Y es un reto para uno tener esa concentración, esa organización, además porque es único, uno está solo, no tiene jefe, no tiene un horario, entonces te iba a decir eso, ¿cómo hacer para, como emprendedora, hacer para poderse uno concentrar, no procrastinar y poderse organizar bien?
Okay. So are you going to say the question in English, or you want me to just go?
No, you can go in Spanish. We'll put the subtitles later.
Yeah.
Okay. So in order for you not to procrastinate and really get things accomplished, especially as an entrepreneur, because it's difficult, right? You don't have a schedule. And so you can go to Nordstrom, they have like really good sales, right? Or yeah, you can do what you need to do. So you have certain strategies you have to put in place, right? First of all, you can't commit to everything, right? Your schedule is not free all the time. You have to do block-timed schedule. And everybody who wants to do something with you, like if you tend to have ADHD, unfortunately, I hate to say it, myself included, you tend to be a people pleaser. You don't want to say no, and you agree to like, oh, yeah, you want to get together for dinner, for lunch, for breakfast, for snack. So you make all of these commitments, and then the people that you truly care about, that you're really close to, you know, they're the ones that feel the brunt of it. Like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. I have to go here, I have to go there. And then the person with the clear mind, you know, usually like my son, who, you know, to me is an old soul, or my husband, tell me, is it necessary for you to do that? Like, is that an absolute, like, should you be doing it? And then I'm like, no, but I already promised. Like, so you gotta like not overpromise. You can't want to do everything. You got to say no to some things, right? There's some things that you don't need to do. But as a person who has ADHD, what do you want to do? You want to do everything, especially when you're an entrepreneur and you're passionate about your passion project, right? You want to do everything and you want to talk to everybody. You want to be on every podcast. You want to write every book. And then everything is half finished.
Yeah.
And so you have to really give yourself an accurate timeline. If you want to write a book, like I wanted to write this book on executive function skills, right? It took me a while. When I was ready to publish, I kept like looking at it saying, oh my God, I said that, that's not true. And I would go back, or like, I didn't say that, or right. There were like 9 million renditions. So like, if you're going to do one thing, do it right. And always think, how could it have been done better? But don't commit to like a book, a podcast, 5 meetings, because at the end of the day, if you do things like Swiss cheese, you're not going to be proud of your work.
Yeah.
You need to be proud of your work. It's your work. It's your gift to the world. So you just can't wait on you can't do everything. And then you can't just, if you're pushing things aside, like because you don't have the timeline in place.
Okay. So I like that. Because I think information is key, especially with all this, you know, and we were speaking about it a little bit before, you know, we're in the Spanish household, that's never understood. But I think with the information that we have nowadays and with the help that's out there, you know, just even with the ebook, I'm downloading it right now, by the way. Just even with the book, you know, you're able to see things that maybe you didn't have or you were unsure about. Now, where can people find you again? And it is chispaefc.com.
Yeah. So Chispa EFC, like executive function coach. But I didn't want you to write 4 paragraphs to find me. So I made it easy, chispaefc.com, or on Instagram at Chispa EFC. And I'm also on LinkedIn. I don't know, Chispa, I guess.
Yeah. No, we definitely want to make sure that people find you. I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't know what executive function was until we spoke, but like I told you, you know, off the air, I wanted to learn with the audience and I wanted to learn with you. You know, even right now as we're speaking, I see 3 people in this household that can benefit from your services. Not gonna lie, I have a 17-year-old, and when you said that cleaning part, that's his room. But now, I asked this question before, and I like to ask this to people when we're speaking. What would you tell that Lizzett, even before you got into teaching, something that you've learned along the process, and I think you've touched on it a couple of times, but I want to make sure that I hear from you. What would you tell that person not to rush, or what would you tell them?
Que se encienda la chispa.
Mm-hmm.
To ignite that spark and to know that they're here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
To not compare your gifts to anybody else's gifts, because you're perfect just the way you are. All you got to do is use the gifts you got.
I love it. I love it. Once again, tell the people where they can find you, your social media, your website, and if there's a number that they can call we can
Okay,
get.
you can find me at chispaefc.com or on Instagram at chispaefc. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you, Judy. Just to let people know, we have Judy on the Spanish version, but I push her to be on these so that way we can practice. So that helps us all. Judy, thank you for being with us. Lizzett, thank you once again. Chispa Consulting, I suggest you go to their website and you take that time, you block out that time, like Lizzett said, to see everything that's on the website. I think the website is made for people with ADHD because every couple of spots you have something new and that turns on that dopamine. So Lizzett, once again, thank you for being with us. This was LosCEO Show. Make sure you share the video, let the people know that we are here. And if anybody that has an entrepreneurship or has their own business and would like to get their information out there, again, we do this so people can get more information. This was very insightful, and we definitely have to do a part 2 to this, Lizzett.
You got it.
So
Thank you, Lizzett. Amazing.